Right, so we're going to look at major scales. Major scales are made up of 7 separate notes, plus an 8th note, so that 8th note is just an octave higher than the first note. These are known as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or, as you can see on our PowerPoint, they're also known as C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, C major is the simplest major scale, known as C major because it starts on a C. So as you can see, this scale contains no sharps or flats, it's entirely white notes. So it's nice and easy to remember, so we're going to start with that one. All major scales are made up of half steps and whole steps, also known as semitones and tones. So that's the first thing we're going to look at. What is the difference between a tone and a semitone? Now, a tone is made up of 2 steps, or 2 semitones. So in our first example, we go from F to G. F to G is a tone, so that's 2 steps. So we're going from F to F sharp, that's 1 step, and then F sharp to G, that's the 2nd step. Let's try another example. This one starts on F sharp. Now, F sharp to G is 1 step, then G to G sharp is the 2nd step. So we know that F sharp to G sharp is 1 tone. So we know that tone is made up of 2 semitones. So what is 1 semitone? 1 semitone is 1 step. So in this example we go from F to F sharp, that's 1 step, that's a semitone, nice and easy. Then let's have a look at the second example we have here. We go from B to C, 1 step, it's a semitone. So the only difference is that if we're going to do 2 steps, that'd be a tone. So semitone is 1 step, tone, 2 steps. Nice and simple to remember. Every major scale has a pattern. This pattern is made up of tones and semitones. This is our pattern here. This is all you need to remember. Remember this pattern, this formula, and you can do any major scale. So we've got tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Let's put this into practice. So we're going to start with our nice easy major scale, C major. Right, so C major starts on a C and ends on a C. So we start on the C and we know that our formula is tone, tone. It's got 2 tones. So let's go from C, we're going to do a tone from C. So C, 1 step, C, C sharp, that's 1 step, C sharp to D, 2nd step. So we start on the C and we end on the D, so that's a tone. So we know that our 2nd note of the scale is going to be D. Then we go from D, and we need another tone, so D, 1 step to D sharp to E. That was 2 steps, so there is our next tone. So we go C, D, E. Now we've got a semitone. So a semitone is 1 step, as we learned earlier. From E, 1 step, takes us to F. That's a semitone. And that continues, so we've got tone, 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 semitone. So as long as we remember that formula, we can do any major scale. So that means that our C major scale goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We start on C and we end on C. We've got no black notes in there. Nice and simple. Let's have a look at this on the scale and see how it looks. So yep, as you can see, we start on the C, we follow our formula of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, and that ends us up on the C. And that is our first major scale. Let's try this on G. Let's try G major. So it's called G major, so that means we start on the G and we must end on the G. Now, as you can see, we have 1 accidental. We've got an F sharp in there. If we follow the same pattern we followed for C major, using our pattern of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, we'll see how we end up with that F sharp. So let's try that. So we start on the G, we're going to do a tone, takes us to A, another tone, B, semitone, C, another tone, D, another tone, E, and then we've got a tricky little step, which is another tone, so we go E, F, F sharp. There's 2 steps, another tone, and then we finish off with a semitone, which takes us to G. And that is our G major scale. Let's have a look at this on the stave. And there we are, there is our F sharp on the 7th note, following exactly the same formula as C major. The only difference is we started on G, making a G major scale. Let's try D major. So we're going to start on a D and we're going to end on a D. we've got F sharp in there, we've got C sharp in there as well. We follow exactly the same formula. Let's have a look at this on the stave. There it is on our stave. F sharp and C sharp. Now we're going to look at F major. Now F major has a B flat in it. So we're going to follow exactly the same formula as we followed with the others. So we're going to do tone, tone, semitone. So we're starting on the F, tone to G, tone to A, and I've got a semitone. So from A, one step to the B flat. And that B flat is our semitone. Then we're doing another tone, B flat to C, another tone, D, another tone, E, and then our final semitone of our pattern takes us to F. So we start on the F, we end on the F, and that is our F major scale. So using that formula, we were able to work out exactly what our F major scale was. So what have we learned from this session? We've learned that all we need to know is that pattern. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Know that pattern and you can work out any major scale. Today we looked at C major, which had nothing in the key signature. We only had white notes. Nice and simple. We started on C, we ended on C. Then we looked at G major and we applied our formula of tones and semitones, which gave us F sharp in the key signature. We also looked at D major, which gave us F sharp and C sharp. And then finally we looked at F major, which gave us the B flat. So putting into practice that formula of tones and semitones and knowing what's the difference between your tones and semitones, putting that into practice on your keyboard, you can work out any major scale.